All right, so we got our eyes and nose done. We're gonna do a little bit of dimensioning just to make sure they're right size. If they're not the right size, we can always delete them and put them to where they need to be. So I'm going to go to the front view again quick. I am gonna come over here underneath the tape measure, click the dimension tool. We know they're in the right spot. Click on this outside ring, diameter of 100. Click on this inside ring, diameter of 50. Because these two are symmetric and I can see across, I don't need to put them on. And I'm gonna click on this ring. Don't put it straight across, just come up here, diameter of 50, that's good to go. The only other dimension I needed was to make sure that the center of this nose was in the right spot at 179. So those are all good, and we're ready to delete what we can delete. So I'm happy with all of that information. I got my dimensions for everything, and we're ready to rock and roll. So we need to add the mouth now. If I take a look at the mouth, it's a straight line, and then it's a curved line. So we're gonna learn how to do an arc. Arcs happen in 3 points, 1, 2, 3, kind of like dimensions happen. Straight lines happen in 2 clicks. So we gotta lay this out. We're gonna start out by laying out a rectangle, and then we're gonna draw the arc in there. So it's 250 from the top to the top of the mouth, and then it's 50 millimeters to the bottom of the mouth. So we'll come in here. Underneath the dimension tool is the tape measure tool. Midpoint, down, 250. And now we're gonna come down another 50. So again, I can double check that. I can just click on this line. I can just double check by coming up here. That's 250. Double check there, that's 50. That's good to go. Now I gotta figure out this portion of Spongebob. So it's 220 wide. So what I like to do is I go from the center point, so we're gonna do that center line again. I'm gonna cut this in half, which 2 divided by 2 is 1, 2 divided by 2 is 1, 0 divided by 2 is 0. So that's 110. So I'm gonna go from the side midpoint to the center midpoint. And we're gonna go 110 this way. So this is how we keep stuff symmetric and centered. And 110 this way. Now we're drawing mouth. So the first thing I do is I come over here and I click on the pencil. That's just a straight line. Click, intersection, click, intersection. There's the top of Spongebob's mouth. Now I need an arc that goes between those 2 points but bends down to here. So I'm going to come down right below the pencil is the arc tool. And I actually want, this is a unlocked plane, I don't want that. I want this arc tool. So it's called the 3-point arc. Click, click, click. So start, end, bend is what I always say. Start, end, bend. So where did I want the arc to start from? Where do I want the arc to end? And how far do I want the line to bend? And there's Spongebob's mouth. Again, we can come in with our dimension tool underneath the tape measure tool. Check to make sure we're the right size before we do our push pulling. Check to make sure we're the right height before we do our push pulling. And check to make sure we're the right height here before we do our push pulling. 250, 50, 200. Something wrong, erase it, start fresh. Those are all right, so I'm gonna actually erase my guidelines. And I'm gonna go to isometric. Now, mouth is still 2D. If I look over here, mouth needs to be 3D. Mouth goes back in, that's why it's a dotted line, because it's hidden. So this is going back in. If I go up here, I can see it's going back in. I can see it's going back in here, and it's going back in 50. The teeth are going back in 5. So we'll have to do that in a little bit. So I'm going to do push-pull. The key with push-pull this time, instead of pulling it out, I'm going to push-pull backwards just a little bit. And you're noticing those dimensions are moving with it a little bit. So it's going to be kind of a pain. You can push-pull way backwards just to make sure it's going backwards. And then we're going to type 50. Enter. Or sorry, 20. So again, I messed that up. I didn't click anything else. I just typed 20 and hit enter. And now my mouth is in the right spot. There's my mouth. 3D, I can see it goes backwards.